Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about whether a college degree is still worth it. This is part 2 of a 2-part series, so let's jump right into it. So let's be honest, college costs are ridiculous right now. I mean, they're going up, and we have all seen those people who have gone to school for a certain period of time and left without getting a degree and then had student loans to pay back over years. And we've seen these people who maybe even gotten a degree but haven't actually gone for a degree in a field that was marketable. And so beyond this, it's important to really look at, is college right for me? First and foremost. And if it is not, look at, a trade school and look at going and interning with a company or taking a leap year, taking a year off to travel and trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. Trying to figure out what is most important to you. And many people, I think, just step into their college career not really thinking about these things, and it ends up taking them a lot of time to figure it out, but it also costs them a lot of money because they didn't know what they wanted to do and they didn't know what they wanted to step into. So they were just going to school to go to school. So for those fearful of how much debt they would need to go into in order to get that degree that they want to get, if they know exactly what they want to go for, it's important to look at how you can get through college debt free. And so this is going to be an episode that comes up here next. And it's important to look at how you can get a degree in a marketable field that makes economical sense for you to spend your time getting that degree, spending that trade-off of going and getting that degree instead of working full-time. But beyond that, figuring out a way to do it without going into student loan debt. And I unfortunately did go into some student loan debt and had to spend some time paying that off. And when I did that, it made sense for me at the time to go ahead and go into student loan debt because the earning potential spread was enough that I could pay that off in a very short period of time. But you have to figure out for you whether that made sense or that makes sense, or if you want to slow down in order to get other things in play and other things in place in order to make sure that you can go through school without getting into debt. So another component that's important to keep in mind is, even though you are getting a degree in a field that is in high demand, you also want to look at making sure that you're building those contacts, building up those relationships with individuals who are part of those companies that you want to work for. And in addition to that, you'll also want to see, okay, do I need to build up some level of experience going into that? Do I need to work through college at some kind of internship or get additional experience to combine with that degree and allowing you to be more competitive. Now, this also applies to those certifications. So you may look into certain certifications that would actually help you in being competitive for the position that you are trying to get into. So this is exactly what I did when I was going through my graduate studies. I actually went and worked for a company that not only had a tuition reimbursement program, but they also allowed for me to have some direct experience before I even graduated. So I mentioned briefly that you want to make sure that the course of study that you're going into is in demand. And this isn't the only component to consider, though. Many people, unfortunately, go to a college campus and they love the campus, or they love the location, or they, love the culture, or something like that. And that drives them to make a decision about a school, accepting a school and stepping on that campus and being a student of that school. When you need to look at some other components as predominant in that conversation. And you should be looking at whether that school is accredited for your field. How well known? Does it have a good reputation or not for the course of study you want to go into? And then also looking at, okay, not only are they accredited, not only do they have a good reputation, but are they a low-cost school? And so many people are stepping into these private schools, which there's nothing wrong with private school, but you just want to make sure that it's something you can actually feasibly afford, or at least be able to pay back the loans on in a reasonable amount of time. And I think many times people don't look at state schools and lower cost options like going to a community college for the first couple years because they want that college experience, not realizing how much they're saddling themselves unknowingly for the foreseeable future based on those decisions. So speaking of low cost, I was reading an article by Forbes that came out sometime last summer that was talking about our student loan crisis, and was talking about how we surpassed the $1.5 trillion mark in student loan debt. And so with that, when I was thinking through it, I was like, okay, well, trillion, that's something we hear only in comparison to our, national debt, typically. And when you break that down, you're like, okay, well, a trillion is 1,000 billion or a million. And when you look at how much debt that actually is, it's just unfathomable. And you see why so many people are struggling to cover the minimum payments of their debt. And so with that, I dug in a little bit further. And with that, I wanted to go into some aspects of how much people are actually carrying when it comes to their student loan debt. And hopefully this will be sobering to encourage you to look at the prior aspects I talked about and looking for a low-cost accredited school. So around the same time, CNBC published an article that had to do with the student loan crisis. And they basically said that 70% of students graduate college with what they consider significant student loan balances. And with that, when they looked into it further, there was an average balance of about $37,000, which equates to about $400 a month. So you can imagine someone stepping out of school, stepping right into their career, and having this $400 payment on a monthly basis that they're going to be paying for years in order to get that $37,000 average balance paid off. So the first year can vary quite significantly when it comes to college degrees. And this, coupled with that average student loan debt load, can heavily impact the housing starts, can heavily impact people's ability to go out and purchase a home, for people to buy appliances and furniture, buying new cars, and all kinds of things like that, starting families, things that have to do with people establishing themselves can be heavily slowed down by them being saddled by debt. And so in the next episode, I'm going to go over aspects to preemptively and actively figure out how to ensure that you're not going to graduate with student loan debt. And so I wanted to go into that because that's near and dear to my heart, because I did graduate with student loan debt. And I know that for many people, they would make different decisions once they graduate, if they didn't have that student loan debt. So trying to help people on their path to build margins so that they can step out of college and have options is important to me. It's important that people are able to look at all the options on the table and figure out which one works best for them, so that they're not saddled by this debt. So although a college degree will not guarantee that you will make the best decisions for your personal finances, the last component I wanted to go over had to do with that higher earning potential turning into wealth. And of course, that doesn't mean that will necessarily happen for everyone. And there has to be a level of dedication, discipline applied to turn that income into wealth. And so with that, I looked into a book that I referred to some episodes ago, and it's called Everyday Millionaires. And this book basically outlined two statistics that I wanted to go over. And when they went through their evaluation of more than 10,000 millionaires, they found that 88% of millionaires graduated with a bachelor's degree compared to only 33% of the general population. And it also went on to state that 52% of millionaires have a graduate or terminal degree compared to 12% of the general population. So again, like I said, education is a long game, and I believe that to be the case. And you can't look at your earnings today as a graduate and look at it from a standpoint of, was this worth it at this snapshot in time? But look at how it compounds, how it grows over time based on your earning potential, based on unemployment, and based on those decisions that will have a compound effect. So based on these 4 components, I do believe that a college degree does make sense. Now, it makes sense if you have evaluated the job field, that it is required for that job field, and that you can go to a low-cost accredited school that can help you get there. Now, with that, you should always be an ongoing, continual learner. And my call to action really comes down to that. It comes down to whether you go to to some kind of school, some kind of trade school, some kind of, internship or whatever it is. You should always be learning. You should always be growing. You should be setting aside time on a daily basis so that you are growing in your craft, growing in your trade. If this information is helpful to you, explore the Margin membership, where me and my team will help you take the information you're learning and apply it to your life and your finances. I've built an interactive course that allows me and my team to come alongside people like you to help you revamp your finances and build margin into your life. Click the link in the description below for more information.